Well, I feel like for whatever reason, we normally end up catching up with this guy too often when there's something going wrong and we want him to explain it to us and not just to say, hey, man, everything's great. Let's talk about it. He, of course, is one of the greatest players in Ravens history, member of the Ring of Honor, Super Bowl champion, and all-around great guy. He is our friend Matt Stover, and he's back with us now here on GCR. Matt, it's Glenn. Always great to catch up, man. Thank you for taking the time for us.
Hey, Glenn, thanks for that. Greatest player. Really? I'm a player? I thought I was a kicker. There's a
Well,
big difference,
that
right? Those
that
guys got hit for a
counts.
living.
It counts. 100, and when you guys are making kicks, it counts. And then when you miss a couple, all
Oh,
of a
man.
sudden,
Yeah. Everybody looks at you.
oh, you know how that
That's
goes.
good stuff.
All right, before
No,
we
no, but it's fun. Yeah, I can bring some, some thinking to this issue with Tucker and the team and kicking in the NFL. Maybe your audience will enjoy this.
all right,
I think they will.
can I start in an interesting way, Matt? Because I wonder if you could give me perspective. Did you know at any point that you couldn't do it anymore? We remember obviously post the years in Baltimore, and we try to block them out. Certainly one particular team we try to pretend like you never kicked for them. But was there a point in your life that you said, if I can't do this, it means I can't be an NFL kicker anymore?
I evaluated that every year, Glenn. Every year I looked at my performance the year before. Then I got during the off season. I felt, the body. I was blessed with good genes, I guess, and I recovered quickly, and I knew how to manage myself on and off the field. And with that, I just allowed myself to evaluate and be retrospective, and also, can I perform to a high level? So one of the things that you discount, yes, there's the physicality of it, but there's also the physicality of it, the mental piece, not the physicality, but the mental piece and the emotional piece. Mentally, do you want to get shot at? So that's literally what it feels like when you're a kicker.
Hmm.
You're running out there all by yourself. Everybody has a gun on you. And if you miss it, you get shot, and you really have to feel and be willing to take that on. And if you do, then you have the emotional flavor. Basically, you want the ball. Do you still want the ball, and how bad do you want it? I mean, if it's third down and they're in field goal range and they get a first down, you're pissed off.
Yep.
That's really what you have to have emotionally. Mentally, it's, do you have and they kind of go both hand in hand, but mentally, are you still sharp? Do you still approach the game with fervor, with resolve? And if you do, then put yourself out there and see how it works. Sometimes let's say this, it is hard every time you go out on the field. It's never easy. I had the most consecutive extra points of all time for several years, 13 years without a miss. Mind you, it was only 20 yards. But still, right? And the reason was because I never thought an extra point was easy. And if you look at a 33-yard field goal, it's a 4-foot putt in the PGA. It's 92%. And you would think that a 4-foot putt in the PGA would be pretty easy, but guess what? 8% of the time they miss it. So, and that's the same statistic that it is in the NFL. So that's one of the things. And so, did I ever think that I was done? I retired at the age of 42 and 7 days. And the reason was because it wasn't the physical piece. I really felt like I could do it more physically, but my goal was to help another team get to the Super Bowl. I was trying to get the Ravens there. We got to the AFC Championship in 2008, if you recall, 2008-9 season.
Yep.
And then they allowed me to they wanted me to go to another team, and I helped the Colts get there, and we lost. And then I knew at that point, I'm done, tired of getting shot at, and just hung up the cleats there, and I knew right then it was done.
So I ask it with this context, Matt, because I feel like there is a really a simplistic way of thinking from some Ravens fans that says, oh, Justin Tucker's he's just done. It's just over. He's not that guy anymore.
Man.
And I get the frustration, but Justin Tucker's 34 years old. To your point,
Right.
That's still a relatively. Chris Boswell is essentially the same age and was looked like the greatest kicker of all time on Sunday.
Right.
I just wonder, and we did just see him make. Is there any reason to think that he's quote unquote done? Because I don't know that I can buy that.
I would say no. And the reason is physically he can kill just, oh my gosh, the 56-yarder that he hit. I mean, my gosh, right? He just crushed it. His kickoffs were great. And he's just got a little pull on his ball, and that's just a little technique for him. Could be a little emotional issue going out because, he can be perfect out in practice, perfect in pregame, and then you get out there and your heart rate increases about 100%. You go from, a 60 standing heart rate to 120 real quick, to 140 real quick. And you have to that's never easy. It's always hard. And knowing the type of competitor he is, he's not done. And the fact that he manages himself so well, if you notice that he's never missed a game, he's been healthy.
Wow.
That's hard to do. Look at Butker. I mean, look at a lot of these kickers. They're going down with quads and hips, not Tucker. And that's because he knows how to manage himself with his kicking. And Randy Brown and the team, he knows what it takes physically to be fresh. And so he'll get through this. I know that he's strong. I know that emotionally he wants it. He wants the ball. He's not going to run from it. And it's happened to me. It really has. So, I would say this, just take the next kick, hit it easy. You don't have to hit it hard, and just want the ball. And I know Tucker, he'll get through it.
Matt Stover is with us here in GCR. Matt, to your point, you bring up like emotional, and I feel like obviously the technique question and why the ball is drifting to the left in particular is big, but given the fact that this is a repetition thing and this is like the one thing that you do, does it become almost a mental thing when you miss a kick or two? Like, does it become a place where it can really screw with you? Yeah.
Absolutely. It's like missing a putt. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, and you're thinking the next time you get over the putt, oh, shoot, I want to yank it left. I mean, and absolutely. And how do you overcome that? You go out there and you trust yourself. You go out there and trust the snapper and the holder. And you know technically what you do wrong. You talk to a golfer and he misses left or he, duck hooks one or pulls or slices it right. He knows exactly what technically he did. I will guarantee it. He does. He knows what happens. And that's exactly what Tucker knows. And he just got to get out there and relax, hit it easy, and just get through it. And that happened to me 2005. I went 0 for 3 one night, Sunday Night Football against the Colts. And everybody looked at me like, what was that? Man, I did too. And I went, what had happened during the off season, I was getting ready to compete to a really strong young guy. And I know how to create more power in my swing. If you remember Tucker's 66-yarder, he backed up a half a step. Remember?
Yep.
Right? Well, that's what I did. I was 2 yards from the ball. That off season, I went back to 2.5 to create some more power, and I got it. Well, I got to the opening game, and during preseason, I was 9 for 9. I had a great training camp, and I get out there regular season, and I don't mind to tell you, your heart rate opening day is up. It is for real. They're not blanks anymore. They're real bullets. And I just got so jacked up. Me backing up created a technical flaw, and I missed left. I missed right. I missed left. And I looked at myself and I said, all right, what was that all about? And, my team looks at me like, well, Stove, you got those out of the way. Let's go. And which meant a lot to me, but I took personal responsibility for that. I looked at my diary. I journal everything for every game, every practice. And the year before was 2004. I had a really good season. It said, move up, slow up, and watch the ball. Move up, meaning you don't have as much power. Slow up, you're just hitting it nice and easy like you should in golf, right? Watch the ball. The most important thing you got to do as a kicker is watch the ball, right? So when I did that, I went out there, first game, 42-yarder right hash, put it right down the middle. It was a home game. The next thing you know, I'm hitting 18 straight field goals and missed one for the rest of the year. So I ended up like 18 to 23 after that. And but that was because I journaled. I took my career very methodically. I was a technician. I knew why I missed left, knew why I missed right. So in that case, as you remember my form, how I used to bend over and I used to have my arm out in front of me, that was all because of the fields were so bad in the 90s and early 2000s that I was slipping and sliding going into the ball, and it would be like you trying to hit a golf ball and your feet are moving everywhere before you swing. You just can't be consistent. But I learned how to keep myself balanced over my feet, so when I was going to the ball, I wasn't slipping, and then when I planted on the ball, I didn't slip either, so I can get the ball at least 50, 52 yards that way. Could I kick a 60-yarder with that form? No. I would have to stand up straighter, back up a half a yard, and crank on it, like the guys are able to do now because the field conditions are really good, right? They have to be good. The NFL mandates it.
Right.
They did that in
Right.
2020, right? And if they're not, they get fined like $250,000 every game that it's not good. So I love that for those guys. It's really helped their proficiency of the position as well.
Matt, we're chatting with Matt Stover here on GCR. Matt, as you watch, not just his own technique, but a lot has been made about, even the numbers from Beyond 50 kind of went down a little bit after the dissolution of the Wolfpack, right? And when Morgan Cox left and Sam Cooke retired. Do you see anything in the operation that's specifically off to you as you watch?
I don't see it. No, if you look at the snapper there, he's so good. I mean, he snaps over the spot. So let me put things in perspective.
Please.
If the ball is snapped over the spot, the kicker never loses sight of the ball. He's not necessarily seeing it, but he sees it, feels it in his peripheral as he's going to the ball. If the ball snapped inside, meaning to the right shoulder of the holder, he loses it. It takes longer for the holder to catch it, bring it from his right shoulder all the way down to the spot. It's a whole lot longer. This, I think Nick's the guy's name, right?
Yeah, Nick Moore. Yeah.
He snaps the ball over the spot, laces in front, and the holder sets it right down. Talking about, oh my goodness. So I don't believe that's the case. It would be one thing if I was watching and they were inconsistent with that. They are not. I would say 95% of the time the snapper and holder execute extremely well. It's just Justin out there's got some stuff going on, and he just needs to relax and just trust in himself because he's one of the best kickers to ever do it. And I'm going to say it again, it's hard to kick a ball. He's made it look easy. I made it look easy. Even Cundiff made it. He was a Pro Bowler here, if you recall. Yep. And so it's not easy. It's hard, and it's tough to get yourself mentally, emotionally ready. I believe he's capable. You don't hit a 56-yarder and don't hit touchbacks unless you have the physical ability. You just don't. And he's doing plenty of that.
Yeah, and Matt, you'll forgive me if I forget some of the specific circumstances over the years, but during your time in Baltimore, there were other kickers that showed up sometimes because you were hurt and. We remember Wade Ritchie was brought in for like a distance reason, and they always brought.
Here's what happened there, Glenn. I'll sorry to butt in, but
no, go ahead.
So in 2001, I pulled my quad,
right,
and I could not kick off. And it was like, oh, man, I said, I talked to the trainer, I talked to Billick, and I said, I'm not going to be able to kick off, but I can still kick field goals. And I gritted through it.
Mm-hmm.
And I kicked my field goals, 49-yarder against Jacksonville. I can remember it. I was so emotional because it hurt. And I worked through it, gritted it out, and worked through that. But after that, I didn't miss. And I wasn't kicking off, and I wasn't doing all these kicks in practice. The next thing you know, you got a guy like Rex Ryan saying, don't mess with Stover. I will do without a player on the defensive side. This is true.
Yeah.
I will do with one less player on my side of the ball to make sure that guy continues to kick like he's kicking. He says because he's winning his games, and that's how we got the extra kicker on the roster was because of Rex Ryan. And, and I was kicking off okay. I would kick off probably 6-8 games a year, but I didn't have to do it all the time. And that'll wear you out. The kickoffs is really what wears you out as a kicker because you're hitting a driver every time.
Sure.
And it's a heavy object, and you're just blowing up on it. And so I did that all the way to my last season. I mean, in 2008, I kicked off 8 games that year when I was 40 years old. So at the end of the day, being a guy who desires the ball, physically is capable, Tucker's got that.
I get it.
There's no question.
The argument made by some, and I've even said, look, if the Ravens, anybody who's suggesting the Ravens should cut Justin Tucker, that's nonsense, right? Like I just can't, I can't go there. But I did say
he has to perform, and it's incredibly objective.
Right, and so this is where I am is, but I get it. Like if it's like this for another 3 to 4 weeks, and you're trying to win a Super Bowl, I don't know what you do at that point. So if their answer was, we're going to sign a kicker to the practice squad this week, and we're going to have somebody else in here that's worked with this group of guys so that if we get to a point where we say we've got to do something else, they're going to be there. I think there might be some wisdom to that. I wonder, because the argument would be, does that light a fire underneath somebody? I wonder what your thought would be about, hey, what if you showed up and someone else who has the same job title as you is in the building, not to take your job, but they're there. Is that beneficial? Does that make it worse? Like, what's the thought?
Hey, man, they had Joe Nedney on my roster in 1999 with Billick first year, and he's literally on the roster in case I miss another field goal. I mean, talking about
I had forgotten that he was actually on the roster, by the way. I had forgotten.
Dear God. That was from hell. I mean, did it motivate me? Well, yeah, of course it did. You got a guy on the roster. I mean, but is that what Justin? Is that his character to need that to be motivated? No, heck no. Did I have to have? No. I mean, I had 3 training camps without any competition, and I had phenomenal years. Near Pro Bowl years.
Mm-hmm.
I was the alternate like 8 times, but whatever. So
you totally don't think about it at all.
Yeah, like whatever. So does the competition help? Okay, sure, of course. Is that what Tucker needs? No. Would I come in and have a guy come in right now during the season? Do you realize how hard it is to come into the middle of the season? It's like and kick at a high level. It's so hard because you haven't had the reps. And it's like asking a golfer to go play in a Masters before he's had any practice rounds and tournaments. It's just good luck. I mean, he might get lucky and be able to do it, but it's really, really difficult. So I would say, man, Tucker's one of the best. He's just got to get through this. He's got to fight and trust in himself, trust in the guys in front of him, and know that he's going to get it done. And, if I'm Harbaugh, that's exactly what I would do.
Matt, what's going on in your world, brother? We associate you, obviously, with so many things locally, including, of course, the FCA over the years. Is there anything that you have going on that we can talk up for you or plug for you in any way?
Oh, well, appreciate that. I've been running not only the FCA, but I've been running the Players Philanthropy Fund, which is ppf.org, and I've been, Ed Reed and Ray, and gosh, I've got all kinds of NBA players and NFL and major leaguers, and I run their back office for foundations. They actually plug into my foundation, and I run them. I'm a fiscal sponsor for them, and we've grown to over 600 projects worldwide. And I've been doing that since I retired, and man, am I having fun. We're giving so much more money out to the charitable world and to the public and helping our world be a better place. And my team, I've got 23 staff, and man, my partner, Seth McDonald, does such a great job, and we've just been really growing it, and it's just something I love getting up to every day and work with my team.
Again, ppf.org is how you find out more about the work that Matt's doing. Matt, you're the best, man. We always appreciate you. Thank you for taking the time for us, and thank you for the human being that you are beyond that, man.
Amen. That's what it's about. We're we're public figures and athletes, but no, we're just normal people and just learning how to do something.